I've just completed this lovely little door hanging. It's 62 inches deep, 26 inches across, and it's made to welcome your guests at Christmas time. Hanging from the tree are small gifts that they can take away. Hello again, my name's Diane and I design and make patchwork quilts, and today I'd like to share with you the process of making a Christmas tree wall hanging, and if that's something you might be interested in, please continue watching. But before I start, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to all those people that have left comments and tips and ideas and sharing all your thoughts with us quilters on how to make quilts on a tight budget. I am collating all of the information that you've given me, and I will share that in future videos. So again, just a huge thank you. Okay, let's have a look at this fabric and design. Well, it's the 18th of August and I don't think it's too early to start Christmas designs, and neither does Joe, who's busy at the moment making Christmas tree skirts with sew and go hexes. So good luck, Joe. Hope you get that finished in time. This design here is going to be made from smaller parts as well. So it's a star, and then all of these are small square blocks. There'll be 4 patches, and the deep colour you can see, that's going to be a golden bauble to match the gold star. And then my idea is, I haven't quite worked out the technicalities of it yet, is to sew throughout here little clips of some sort that I will hang little bags from, that people when they visit the house can take off a bag and have a goodie from inside, and then I'll keep the bags and they can have the goodie, and then I'll fill it up with something else and pop it back on the tree. So that's the design. Let's have a look at the fabric. And so before I buy anything, I go first to my stock to have a look there and see if there's anything that's suitable. And for the star, I'm going to use this gold, which is Flutterby fabric, and then this William Morris Larkspur print in ochre, and that is by the Crafty Cotton Company. So I shall be using that for the star, and I shall be using this Flutterby to make the gold baubles on the tree. And for the tree itself, I have this fabric, which is a bluey aqua and a green, emerald green. And this is by John Loudon, and it's called Mystic Vine. And I think this will be lovely to create movement, all these little bits. And I didn't really want to go and buy any green Christmas fabric because the uses of that will be limited in my next projects, whereas this, if there's anything left, I know it'll be more versatile. So that's the star and the tree. And I'm going to use this lovely warm chocolate brown for the trunk. I think that's got a sort of barky feel to it. So that'll be excellent for that. And the flower pot will be in this William Morris print, Larkspur. So there's a connection between that and the star. And I already have this in. So that will be the flower pot in a crimson. And then the decoration for the trim of the flower pot was also William Morris. This is Strawberry Thief. So this is Damson and this is Ochre. So that's the rim of the pot. And this is what I've bought. Lovely Christmas wreaths on a red background with gold trimmings. So there's a red, there's a white, and there's a red background with gold snowflakes. And then these 2 pieces could be Christmassy. I'm going to use these as the gifts at the bottom of the tree. And there are 7 pieces in this bundle. So I bought 2 bundles because I think this doesn't have to be used only for Christmas, and neither does this. And this floral and the blue background tealy floral. I think if there's anything left, they'll be okay to use in other projects. So there's one more piece of fabric I'm waiting for, which is the background, and that's white with gold stars. So that should be arriving shortly. Well, I'm still waiting for the delivery of the cream fabric, so I can't do anything in the background. I can't do the edges of the tree, but you know how it is. When a girl needs to sew, she needs to sew, and I want to sew. So I can do some of it without the cream. So I'm going to work on the middle, and I don't know if you can just see. I've just blocked in some of these squares. Don't worry, all the details will be on my community page as I finalise the design. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start working on the centrepiece. My 4 patch, each of these squares are going to be 1 3/4 inches square because I want to make a skinny and long wall hanging. It's actually going to go on the back of a door. That's my plan at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to start cutting and sewing. I'll show you how I get on. So Daisy gave us this tip. She said to prolong the life of your cutting mat, take an eraser and give it a good old scrub all over. I mean, to be honest with you, I am getting a bit of a workout, Daisy. Are you a keep fit person as well? Anyway, it's working. I've got to say, it's working. I have used these scrubs before and they're not so good. But this, bit of elbow grease, and this is really getting rid of some of this cotton and lint. So thanks, Daisy, that's a good one. She'll persevere and get the rest out. And then she says, occasionally pop it in the bath and give it a good old wash. My husband's in the bath at the moment. And while he's supportive of my hobby, I don't think he wants to share it with the cutting mat. So I'll try that later. Well, there is definitely some cotton and lint in here. Not all of this is fibres. Some of it is the eraser. That shrunk a little bit. Not so much, actually. So I've cut 2 sets of the blue and the green width of fabric. I've cut 1 set of the blue and the yellow, and then I have the width of fabric in the green with the red for the baubles. So I think that's looking quite Christmassy already. And there we are. I've got 3 little piles of fabric, and they are 1 3/4 inches wide by 3 inches long. I'm going to start putting those into 4 patches now. Well, I've sewn up all these little 4 patches. They don't look much like a Christmas tree at the moment. Just going to double check the quantities, and then I'll start putting them together in rows. So I've sewn all the inside of the tree. There's a good distribution of colour. These are all in 3-inch strips, so I'm going to block them together in like sizes and then wait for the white fabric before I put the outsides on. If you want to make a Christmas tree wall hanging or door hanging similar to mine, I've included now all of the quantities of the 4 patches that I've used. However, I've blocked together this tree design, which is what I've sewn to, and each of these little 4 patch measure 3-inch square. So I think you could make a really pretty tree if you use different Christmas fabrics in 3-inch squares. And that's the layout for that, and that would look really pretty, I think. Well, the lovely little star that fits on the top of the tree are 3-inch half square triangles. So I've done everything I can there. And the same with the trunk and the top of the flower pot. Again, 3-inch half square triangles and then 2 3-inch squares for the trunk. So I've completed that. And then the parcels, there's a tiny parcel that's 3 inches. There's a parcel that is 5.5 inches by 8 inches, a 5.5-inch square parcel, and then an 8-inch square parcel. So I'll show you what they look like. So this is as far as I can go at the moment. You can see I'm missing the flower pot, but that's how it looks. And when the cream backing is there, I think that will really come forward. So these parcels on the bottom, I've left the fabric whole apart from that middle one. So I cut that one down the centre so that there's a little bit of ribbon pieced. And on these 2, I've made some ribbon by just sewing together some of the gold fabric. And so that'll be loose, hanging forward. And I've got a little bow thing to put on the top. I'll be piecing those. So I think that looks really pretty. Okay, nothing else I can do now. Look what's just arrived. Time to get cutting. Ho, 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 ho. Well, I'm very keen to get going now. I've cut lots of squares, 3-inch, and I'm going to start working on putting this star together and the top panel. So I'm thinking of the tree as being 1 panel for the star, 1 for the tree, 1 for the trunk and the top of the pot, and then 1 for the parcel. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So I'm going to start with the star. So that's the layout. I've sewn 8 of the 3-inch squares together for the top. That'll be the width of the tree. And then the star fits in the middle. So I've got 2 panels on each side now to join together. Okay, get that one done. Well, that looks pretty. From a distance, the gold stars look as if it's snowflakes falling. I wasn't expecting that. It's come together really quickly, so it's not going to take long now. Now I'm going to work on the bottom. So I'm going to just concentrate on this area underneath the flower pot rim. So we've got the parcels and these little bows. I'll show you how I piece these little bows together. So I want to make 2 little half square triangles that form a bow, and I want that to be gold with the cream background. So I've got 2 3-inch squares, the gold and the cream background. I've sewn around the outside a careful 1/4 inch. I've snipped the corners and now I'm going to cut on the diagonal, turn them over, and I'll have the half square triangles, and I'll trim those to 1 3/4 inch squares. So I've set the seam and now I've cut on the diagonal. So they open up to look like that. So I'll sew these together and that forms the bow shape. So that will be this piece here, and now that strip here is 1 3/4 inches deep and 3 inches across. So when they're all sewn together, that will make a 3-inch square. So what I'm going to do is sew these together now. So I've sewn that, and now I need to add a piece of the flower pot and the background there. So that's going to look like that, but I have made this little tie. So it was just a tube of fabric, 1 3/4 inches, that I've turned, put a seam on the back. So I'm just going to top stitch around the edge, and then I'll join these together and put that on. I just think that's a nice little touch. There we are, just a little bit of fun. And the next part of the pot is 2 3-inch squares, and then the same half square triangles that we've made there, and then we've got the 5.5-inch square with a little insert of fabric, and that looks like that. So simply put them together now. You can see the half square triangles and the bar. These had a 1 3/4 inch square on each side of those, and then 2 3-inch squares at the top. So that is all complete now. So we've got another parcel here which is 5.5 by 8 inches, and it's got the same tassels on as the first one, the same half square triangle bow, and then I've got a 3-inch parcel and then 3 of the background of 3-inch squares. So I'm going to pop all of that together and then join it to the other part, and that'll be the bottom piece complete. And I've just made a little tab here. It's the same as this ribbon, but I've just put it so that when I attach that, it's got a little bit of a top on. Okay, let's join all that together now. So all the parcel part now is sewn together, and I'm just going to put that 3-inch strip of half square triangles with the 3-inch squares on either end to make the top of the pot, just to finish that. So those are the parcels and the pot, and that's now the top of the pot. So the tree trunk is formed by 2 3-inch squares, and then there's 3 background on each side, and then we've got 3-inch wide by 1 3/4 inch deep of the trunk, and then we've got strips here, 3-inch wide, 3 of those on each side, and they are 1 3/4 inch deep, and then we've got a scattering of 1 3/4 inch squares with the background. And that's how that will look. So we've got 3 3-inch squares on each side of the trunk, and then I'll put a band across here, and then I'll do a scattering of the bottom leaves, pine needles and baubles for the tree. So that's the pot, those are the parcels, the base of the tree is there. So now it's just a matter of building upwards until I get to the star. And so we've got that first row and that row, and so I'm just going to build out, and where there's background white, I'll add the side pieces, and I'll just work all the way up to the top. And that's it. All the small pieces now are sewn together. So if you look closely, you'll see I extended the width of the tree 3 inches on each side, the small blocks, and that was so that the parcels at the bottom would stand out. And there we go. I've added some stay stitching around the edges of each of the panel parts and along the bottom and the top, and that's because there's a lot of seams there and I don't want those popping. But I shall join that together now and then look at the batting. My intention for the batting is to use scraps that I'll piece together, and then I'll quilt it, and I'll show you when I get to that point. Well, I've joined all the sections together now, and I've manoeuvred all the seams, tried to nest them. There are a couple of places where it's slightly out, those points don't quite match, but really once it's quilted and there's a little bit of puffiness, you're not going to notice those. So now I'm going to find some batting and start quilting. I have the backing, I'll show you that. So I've decided I'm going to use this sheet that I bought at a bargain price of £5 to create the backing, and I'm going to make a self-binding quilt, and I'll show you what that looks like. So as you can see, everything's been quilted. I've used a silver thread in a simple crosshatch, and now I'm just getting the mitered corners. So it's gold that's come from the back to the front. And so I've taken my trusty ruler and can just about make out there's a slither around about 1/4 of an inch of batting that overruns the top, and then I've got a ruler width away from the batting. And now what I'm doing is I'm just ironing it back on itself. So I'm taking it, ironing it up till I reach the batting, and then going across, and then just using the wonder clips to keep that in place. So when I get to the corner, I continue the fold all the way down, and I have just made a crease part way up past the corner, and then what I shall do is turn that and iron that down, press that up and then again, and you'll get a nice mitered corner. So I've pressed that now, and now I'll just put some wonder clips, another one there, one on this edge, and I'll work my way along till I get to all the corners. So that's all clipped, ready to go. And I think the gold works really well with the gold stars. So what I shall do is sew a small seam right on the edge there, and then another one there, just to finish it off. But before I do that, I want to prepare a hanging sleeve to go on the back. So I've taken a strip of the backing fabric that's the same width as the hanging tree, and it was just over 4 inches deep, and then I've turned in each side, and now I'm going to sew a seam along the back and then turn that to make the sleeve. So now I've used the wonder clips just to attach that tube near to the top, and then I'll catch that in as I'm doing the self-binding on the front. I'll stitch this little piece by hand. Well, the binding's all finished and that looks very neat, and then the back has been sewn on, and I've had an idea now about how to attach the bags, and I'll show you that. So I've got an assortment of things in this little box for picture hanging, and I'm thinking that something like this. It's got a hole in the top and the back, so I can put thread through there, and then it has this little hook here that I could hang a little gift bag on. So I'm just going to tie that through, and I think I might find a bead just to make it look a little bit prettier. Well, I found these really pretty little glass beads in my jewellery making kit, and I think they look like Christmas lights. So what I'm doing is threading a piece of red silk through there, and then that's going through the hole in the wall hanging like that. And then I will take a needle and pop it through the quilt and then tie it on the back on the other side to stop the thread coming through. And these are just little tags that you get when you buy a fat quarter, and there's a label description. So of course I keep everything. So these little rings are perfect. They're lightweight, they're flat, they won't mark the door as they're hanging against it, and it will just stop this knot being pulled through. And that's it finished. And I think she looks really, really pretty. And I've hung some little lavender bags for now, so that's what it'll look like. I'll try and get some of the gold organza bags and put some sweet treats in there for Christmas. And I think when people visit, they'll enjoy taking a little gift from that tree. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. You'll find all the details you need to make it if you want to on my community page. So if you just go to my home page, you'll find the link along the top. Thanks for watching. Take good care of yourself and each other. Bye.